Okey-doke. So, this is a very like fun webinar to look at from the seminarist point of view and from the user point of view as well. Because there are many new features now on Inventor 2026 that are very useful for industry job. As usual, Autodesk tries to include several of these features as work that needs to be done in some sort of way, in some sort of sense, from the previous releases. That is, if some menus need to be changed, or if features still looks a little bit updated. Autodesk is gonna try to modernize all of those, like on the sheet metal environment, which is the first one we'll take a look into. And some of those are basically the voice of the people, if that makes sense. Ideas from the forums, from the inventor communities, basically stuff that people have been asking for a long time and now have been implemented. Okay, so these are just some of the features, the ones that I think personally are the most relevant in Inventor, but there are many, many more. Okay, so we're gonna go through the workflow of creating a part just to check on these new features and how that can those can help us a little bit into our daily work. Okay, so we get first sheet metal enhancements. Basically, for those ones, what we get, it's revamping on some of the tools, specifically on the contour flange, on the corner rounds, and on the punch tools, right? So, well, first of all, now the dark theme is the default theme for Inventor, right? That's just personal preference, but I think it's a little more sleek, a little bit better, right? So when we're creating a sheet metal part, from previous releases, we already had some changes in the face of the tools themselves, right? But right now, besides the face, besides the flange, all of those like normal features, we also have some new feature, some revamping for our features as well. I'm gonna create a quick feature here for the sheet metal environment, right? So this is common knowledge from the previous releases, right? We had the flange tool already revamped with the modern look on Inventor, right? But now the contour flange tool also has been revamped, okay? So real quick, I'm gonna create a sketch here. Project my geometry here. 7. I'm gonna create something like this. That and that. There we go. Right. So if you take a look at now some of these tools, now they have a new palette, right? It's not like the old one, and it has many, many more options that are very intuitive for the user as well. Okay, so for example, for the contour flange, now I get options for the width extents organized in a better way. I can work with the edge, specify a certain length, for example, a certain width for the flange right here. Okay, so basically it has been organized in a much better way. Okay, same has been done for the corner round tool. Okay, so I'm not going to select edges. I'm going to select features. You may notice that the way of working here for this new tool is very similar as the regular round tool from the part environment. Right? So it's a lot more intuitive. It's a lot better. It basically gives us a better user experience, right? We also have some new sketch activation features. That means if we're working on a sketch inside of our environment. For example, I'm gonna create first a sketch up here with an oblong, center to center, something like that. There we go. I'm not gonna constrain anything of sorts. And I'm working along with another sketch on another part, right? Now I don't need to finish the sketch anymore. Okay, that is if I need to jump from sketch to sketch, I can keep working on this one, basically constrain this one as needed, right? There we go. And it's all just a matter of double clicking on the previous sketch. That's going to jump to the previous sketch. Okay. So that way I don't need to worry about finishing the sketch, making sure that the entities are well set. I can go ahead and modify this, right? And just double click on the other one, and all the entities are going to update automatically. Okay. So that means much faster work. That means more reliability between the sketches. Basically, that's going to enhance my user experience. All right. Now, this is one of the most exciting ones for people like me that like to work with patterns a lot. The patterns have been updated. All of them now are part of one single tool. So I'm going to create a quick hole right here. We want it 0.5 and 0.5 as well. There we go. This is going to be a regular hole. I'm going to make it 125, 1 acre per inch. Cool. There we go. Now, when you activate the pattern tool, it doesn't matter if you start with the rectangular, the circular, or the mirror or sketch-driven tool. Okay, you will be able to access all of them from the palette right here. Okay, they have been modernized. You can select the features the same way that you always have. You're gonna have like shortcuts with the common directions from your origin. That is, if you don't want to select a feature or the plane, or you wouldn't want to go there, you got a quick button here, okay, to select the Z-axis, for example, same as the mirroring tool, where you have the shortcuts for the origin. And the most important feature now, it's the irregular distance one. Okay, so for example, let's suppose I have 5 features with a distance of 0.5, for example, right? And let's make it more. Let's make it like 7 or something like that, or 6. Okay, and I need to specify that one instance wants to be a little farther away than the others. So all I got to do is check on my irregular distance, add a member, for example, this one right here, and specify the distance for that. In this case, 0.75, say, okay? And I can keep adding members to that irregular distance features, okay? So that way, I get a very good control on how I want to make my pattern. I don't need to create single patterns for this one, then another one for that one, then another one for that one, or create a sketch, or create all those dimensions. All of that is going to be controlled from my pattern tool. All right. Now, we also have some enhancements to model states. Those are existing now in the sketch environment, on the part environment, sheet metal as well, and on the assemblies, okay? It's a very, very good revamp that has been done to model states. Now, you don't need to control model states with Excel tables, okay? So you remember before, if you were used to working with model states, remember first that the model states were part of, or they were on their own folder, right? Now they're part of the representations of your model, first of all, right? And now, but you create a new model state and you want to edit the model state, you can do that the old way, that is activating your model state with the little pencil. Say I'm gonna name this one top slot. Okay, gonna create a new one. It's called side slot. There we go. So same as we always modified the model states. If you want to work like that, just click on the little pencils right there to add all the members, or just activate the model state that you want to work with. Okay, so from this 2026 version, you can modify several model states at one single time. Okay, for example, you just want to edit or do a change. Okay, for the I'm going to activate the primary. For example, for the primary and the top slot. Okay, so I don't need to modify either all of them or one of them one at a time. What I can do is just activate the two that I want to modify and basically modify them any way I want. All right. So right now, my primary and my top probably wouldn't be the most intelligent thing to do, actually. I'll modify this, express features. Yeah, probably this makes more sense, right? For the primary and the side slot, I'm going to deactivate that top cut, right? Okay, and now for the top slot, basically, I got this other one, okay? So I don't need to modify all of them at the same time or each one of them. I can select the ones that I want to modify. And if I prefer working with a table, I no longer need to edit this via spreadsheet. I still can, okay? But this new feature, edit table, it's going to pop up a table very, very similar as the iPart table, okay? Notice that I can bring in parameters, properties, expression, features, basically you name it, okay? And the way of working with this one, it's very, very similar as the iPart. So I get my model states right there, okay? I can add new model states from here. For example, no slots, okay? And I can modify the suppression states for each one of those as needed. So for example, I can set compute for all of them. For the top slot, I'm gonna activate cut 1, suppress cut 2. For the side slot, I'm gonna activate just cut 2, and for the last one, I'm not gonna activate anything. All right. I've verified those. Everything's ready, and now I got all my model states configured correctly. All right. So it's easier to work with model states. You get more adaptability, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's a more common workflow rather than depending or relying on external software, right? Now, for assembly environment, we get some enhancements into the mirror feature, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, close this one. Gonna open this other assembly right here. Shoot it with edges. So I got a little gizmo kind of thingy. I have no idea what I would use this for. But the point here is I'm going to pretend this is a sensor, all right? And I created this sensor mount right here, which in this case, the whole point of this thingy is that I got some features there on the right, okay? So you might be familiar with creating the entities or the mirrored entities with the mirror tool, right? And the way it worked before is you'd select components, right? You'd set which ones you wanted to reuse and which ones you wanted to actually change, depending on the mirror plane that you select. right? You would give them a name or modify the type of file name and all of that. And I would have the mirror features, but right now there's no associativity between the placement of the original features and the new features. I had to go ahead and create all the relationships, right? So starting with this version, I got a new option. Basically, when I'm going to mirror something, I got the option to create a mirror pattern or create a flat structure, okay? So the flat structure, it's the old-fashioned way of doing the mirror thing, okay? So basically, I'm going to get the mirror versions, but Inventor is not going to copy the position or anything like that. Whereas if I select my mirror pattern, I select my components in here. I'm gonna make this one, I'm gonna reuse that one, I'm gonna mirror it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. I'm gonna name this one left. Instead of mirrored. Okay, what I'm gonna get now, it's a pattern. Okay, so Inventor is going to copy the elements, right? It's going to mirror the proper ones that I select. It's going to reuse the ones that I want to reuse. And it's going to create the association automatically between the two, okay? So I don't need to worry about creating the relationships again. I don't need to worry about creating constraints, joints, or anything, okay? Inventor is going to take care of all of that. All right, now some improvements have been made to the open and save dialog windows as well. So when you go ahead and you open something, the open window, it's reorganized. Okay, so now you can see a preview of the component right there on the right of the window. Right? And from this window, you have the options on how you want to open those. So you don't need to click on options or go through more steps. All you got to do is just define how you want to open your part right there. If you want to defer the flat pattern updates, if you want to open different model states, for example, right? Well, in this case, I didn't create a model state for this one. I can create one real quick. Oh, there we go. I was opening the wrong one. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So I can access the model state that I want to open right there. Can activate certain design view as well. I can even check on the properties of my model in here if want to check on size, the author, basically anything that I want. I can even access the eye properties of the part right there. Okay, so everything is included in one single location. Okay, it's more it's a more streamlined well way of upping things. That makes sense. All right, and those are the main features that well I basically liked from the assembly environment. Okay, now on the drawings, several improvements have been made as well. The most important ones that are the sketch-based break view and the linear and angular sum dimension types. Okay, so for those ones, I'm going to modify my model a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and modify my rectangular pattern here. Notice that I don't need to worry about any of those or modifying any of those by going into Sketch or anything like that. If I don't need a member to have a regular distance anymore, I can just delete that from the list, and that's it. Right, so for this one, I'm gonna modify just make it 8. There we go. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna modify the shape of the contour flange a little bit here. Modify the angle just so break view it's in order. All right. There we go. I'm gonna hit save, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a new drawing for this one. Just as common practice, I like to bring in my ISO view right there, right? We can have a little reference. Okie doke, and let me bring my tangent edges. There we go. Right. So you remember on previous releases on Inventor, when we wanted to make a break view, basically we needed to select the view, right? And we needed to click twice, and the break view was going to be created, okay? But there was no way of controlling or constraining the break lines to my actual view, right? So on this new version of Inventor, when I create a break view, I'm going to do that a little bit slower. Notice that when I select the view and I click on the two lines, okay, a new sketch is going to be created inside of the break view, okay? So now the break view works kind of like the section view, okay, or like the bracket view. It needs a sketch. For the regular user, it's not going to make a difference if you're used to creating your break views this way. It's going to be created automatically. But the advantage is that now I can control the break with a sketch, okay? So basically, for example, if I want to go ahead and modify how the lines are placed regards to my model, I got these two lines defining the break view. I can tell that this first line is always supposed to be at 0.75 inches from the edge, right? And that this one is supposed to be at 0.25 inches from my tangent line, right? So that way, it doesn't matter if my part gets modified. That is, if I go back here, I modify my contour flange and make this distance a lot longer, 5 inches, for example. Whee! Look like a little dinosaur there. It doesn't matter. My break view, it's going to be kept in place because now it's parameterized to the edges that I selected. All right. So that's going to save me some time. It's going to, I don't need to go back and check if the break view now looks right, if I need to move this couple guys around or anything like that. Okay. A couple rules here is you gotta have some well-defined information in your sketch. That is, the sketch should have two parallel lines, okay, either horizontal or vertical, right? And you gotta have just two lines, okay? As long as you're following those directives, you should be fine, okay? That also means that you don't have to work that way. That is, create the break view and let Inventor create the break view for you or the sketch for you, right? You can create the sketch beforehand if you prefer, same as the section, same as the breakout, and then when you're gonna hit break, you can select a view sketch. All right? As long as the sketch is placed inside of the actual view, you should be fine. Right? And the last feature I want to show you today, it's the new linear sum and angular sum dimension types. So these are very useful when we want to convey information for patterns, for example, like this one, okay? I got many different entities, and I want to convey the amount of entities, all I gotta do is make sure, first of all, that I create the dimension for the first one. All right. And then I'm going to create the linear sum dimension. So basically, I'm going to specify the whole dimension for the entire feature like this. And before I place the actual dimension, I'm going to change its type, and I'm going to select linear sum. Okay. The linear sum dimension is going to expect a base dimension that's going to act like its divisor, if that makes sense. Okay. So the linear sum must be a multiple of this base dimension that I got right there, and I can convey the amount of features that I got right there, or the amount of distance multiples that I got right there for this dimension right here. Okay. This can also be applied to angular dimensions as well. All you gotta do is select an original base angular dimension. And the rules for this ones are the base dimension should be included first, of course. And this linear sum can be expressed in terms of multiples of this original dimension. Okay. The two dimensions are going to be associated. Okay, so if this dimension were to change, I'm going to go ahead and modify distance here, 145. Right, the dimensions are going to update automatically. So this one is going to be always associated to the original base dimension. And if I delete the base dimension, the linear sum, it's also gonna get deleted. All right. So that associativity, it's always gonna be maintained. All right. So that means no longer you need to modify the nodes or create our base or regular base dimension, modify the dimension node or anything like that. All right. Okay, so there are many other features in Inventor 2026 in regards of interoperability with Revit. For example, we got enhancements on importing CAD software, as always. We got enhancements in some of the palettes that we got there for some of the features, but I think those are like the most important ones that I've seen that are useful for this Inventor 2026. So I encourage you as well to get in there, practice with the software, just start playing around with it and check the new features because they're very useful, very exciting. All right.